Heal me till I'm truly free. Ruffle up the feathers if you please.
Hi. Some of you will recognize me as Daddy Bits. Most of you will not recognize me at all. But hopefully over time you will. My name is actually Brandon. I live outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been writing and recording my own music for a few years now, and I figure it's time to try and get me an audience. So I'm going to make a series of short videos to kind of explain what I do, maybe offer some hints as to how you can do this yourself, and show you a few things about how I go about the process of making music. Since I'm out here for the start of this, I'll just show you. I like to sit out here sometimes and write songs. My little yard, my fig tree, because for sometimes sitting around with an acoustic guitar is a good way to actually come up with a song. And a couple of my songs that I'll talk about later on when they come out were written in exactly this kind of a way. Part of my whole approach comes from back in my early days during the punk movement of the 70s and the early 80s, where musicians just decided they were going to do it themselves. Nobody had any money, nobody had really any fancy equipment, but they wanted to make music, and so they did. And that's kind of what I have tried to do. I don't have a whole lot of money. I got a bunch of kids, hence Daddy Bits. So I make do with what I got. And that's okay. For me, the emphasis is on the song. Finding the song, finding what it means, and making the music fit the song. And I'm a teacher, so one of the classes I was teaching was on popular culture. And a few years ago, we were looking at the proliferation of the internet and how it's so easy for people to become content providers. And it struck me that I could start actually using the few things that I have to actually record music and do it in a way that would actually come out with something that hopefully people would want to listen to. Before I go back inside, this is where the fairies live. It's also where one of our hamsters is laid to rest. My studio space, it's not really so much a studio as it is a corner of the basement. You can probably hear the washer and the dryer in the background. And if you listen real careful on some of the tracks, you can actually hear that at the beginning or the end of a song. I try to get them out, but you know, what are you going to do? My rack with my stringed instruments. I got a Strat and Tele bass, a couple of old guitars and a banjo. My Martin, I waited for years to get that thing. And an old DX7 that I used to play. Some paintings from an old church where I used to play organ. 10-year-old computer running some old software. It's my drums, an Alesis DM10. So I said I'm low budget, so the hi-hat trigger broke, so I just moved one of the toms over for the time being, which works. It ain't brilliant, but it works. It actually plays pretty funny. My entire effects setup is really just one pedal. It's one Digitech pedal. Then I adjust that, and I adjust the sound in the mix to get the guitar sounds and the rest of the sounds I want. Typically play a little Tobias bass. We just restrung it. It sounds pretty fat. Even though it's a very cheap little bass, it actually sounds really good. I typically write on notepads. They're strewn all over the place. Do my own maintenance, as you can see, microphones, tools sitting all over the place. And like I said, low budget is how you got to go. If you don't have the money, you got to do it anyway. I'm hiding in the basement. If you watch this far, thanks. Look for more videos coming up that will explain some of the music, how I went about doing it, things that you could do, and also look for links to a new web page that's under construction, a Facebook page that's under construction, and the new YouTube page, and new release coming out Friday the 3rd. with a whole bunch of songs. Been piling them up for a couple of years now. And so I got a lot of new music to come out. And it's really good. It's really good. First one's going to be the kind of the more mellow songs, and then I have another album's worth of stuff coming out later in the summer. It's all the bangers. So, hope you tuned in. Hope you stayed on this long, and hope to see you around.